What'd you call it? Money bunny, funny
Funny
honey.
bunny, crummy honey. Because
I want to see
it's
funny
a funny
bunny.
bunny, and it uses food tokens, so it's crummy.
Oh my god!
And it uses honey because it's also food.
Oh, it uses honey because his deck's sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to the Idiot Brewing Company. My name is Chris, this is July, and today we have a very special guest with us. It's a man that needs no introduction. You know his face, you know his name, you know the decks he plays. Max Sternburg. Everybody welcome WoundedSatellite. Max, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, as said, my name is Max Sternburg, also known as WoundedSatellite. I am a cEDH tournament grinder, content creator, and cEDH coach. If you're interested in cEDH coaching, I'm sure we'll have links in the description. Feel free to hit me up on Discord or Twitter.
Alrighty then. Well, today we've got a very special episode of the Idiot Brewing Company. Max has gone ahead and chosen our commander for this week. It's one that I am very excited about. I don't know if you guys are. When we were brewing this deck, I was having a lot of fun. One of my starts in cEDH was Rocco Cabaret Caterer. So Naya holds a really nice soft spot to my heart. So when I saw that you picked this bunny, I was like, oh, let's go. I know exactly.
What a bold question to ask if we're excited about it. He picked the deck. But yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
I'm also very excited for Baylen. Like, I've always, similarly to your topic about Rocco, I've always been envious of your Rocco list. So the fact that Max, you came to us with this Naya list that is wild. I'm very excited to see what we've all come together with.
I mean, it's incredibly unique because there aren't really any cEDH decks that are universally built around the generic concept of tokens. There's some that use it to some degree. You know, you have Lannis, you have Tivit. You've got some things that do abuse aspects of token creation, but Baylen is the only one that just universally says, make as many tokens as possible. I don't care what they are. I will obtain value from them. And I think that that's really, really cool. And it allows you to do some things that after peeking at your guys' list, you guys just decided not to do. But it's like... But like the concept of being like, oh, I get to like really overlap oof and dockside synergies. Like that's something that's very, very powerful. And I think it's cool that Baylen gets to take advantage of that access of resource.
Most definitely.
I'm very scared of Collector Oof. I can't do it. No matter how synergistic it is, I'm too scared.
It's good in this deck.
It's taken me off of so many games of my own. I can't bring myself to put it back in.
I will happily admit to being a coward if it means I never have to play Collector Oof for myself.
I'll do my best to convince you on it.
Oh, you got time. There's a whole 3 deck brews ahead of us to convince us.
All right. Well, for the folks at home that don't know, Baylen the Haymaker is going to be a Naya 4/3 legendary creature, Rabbit Warrior. Najila players, look out. That's a warrior for you. Baylen has the 3 different activated abilities of Baylen herself. Tap 2 untapped tokens you control, add 1 mana of any color. Tap 3 untapped tokens you control, draw a card. Tap 4 untapped tokens you control, put 3 1/1 counters on Baylen the Haymaker. It gains trample until the end of turn.
It's like a planeswalker. You never use the ultimate.
Absolutely goated.
It's all upticks.
All right, so I'm ready to jump into the brews. I don't know about you guys. Y'all ready to look at these things?
Let's see what we got.
We're going to jump right into my list. Big Bunny Beats. Big Bunny Beats is I'm not going to lie, it's a Kiki-Jiki deck. When it comes to Naya, the win cons that hit my dumb little monkey brain are Kiki-Jiki combos. So I've gone ahead and slapped Kiki-Jiki, Feldark Guardian in here, along with the Birthing Pod, Vivian on the Hunt, and Survival of the Fittest to go ahead and get through those. The goal, make infinite creatures, turn sideways, win the game. With Baylen, what I love about the Kiki-Jiki combo is that you can win after combat. Like that, you can do that just to make your infinite guys and then use those to tap into Baylen and draw into your other win cons. So that's what really kind of drew me to that. I was like, this is awesome. I've played Rocco to the point where I would be able to do the combo, and I'm like, wait, I went to combat already to get the treasures to do this, and now I got to pass with Kiki Jiki in my hand. So I like that Baylen allows this outlet for these infinite guys that doesn't have to go to combat, and you can kind of win the other way. My other way is Eternal Witness and Lightning Bolts, along with Emil the Blessed. Make infinite guys, make infinite mana through Baylen, draw out the deck, cast Lightning Bolt. You're going to flicker Eternal Witness with Emil the Blessed ability, re-get Lightning Bolt to your hand, bolt again, do this on infinitum, and kill the entire table. Makes me very happy. For special includes, this deck is a token deck. I definitely wanted to bring some cards to the table that kind of highlight that this deck loves tokens, and we're going to be making as many as we can. Thankfully, this silly little bird deck called Nadu brought 2 different cards to my head that fit into this deck very well, and that's Scoot Swarm and Springheart Nintuko. Every time a land enters the battlefield, I think I'm running about 27 lands. I'm going to be making tokens, which are going to allow me to activate Baylen to draw into my Kiki combos along the way. I also threw in the Rosy Cotton and Scurry Oak combo, another way to just make infinite guys. Whenever a 1/1 counter is put on Scurry Oak, you make a dude. Whenever you make a dude, you put a 1/1 counter on Scurry Oak. Boom, 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 boom. Draw your deck, bolt people to death. Other than that, rather simple nihilist. You've got your silence effects. We get to play Cutzel, which is a wonderful other silence effect like Grand Abolisher in this list. So that makes me happy. All the green creature tutors that are going to be putting creatures onto the battlefield. Other than that, fairly standard. But yeah, very standard Naya deck. What do you guys think?
It's good. I went through the thought processes that you've been having. Most of the cards I'm seeing in our comparison, like, were in my deck at one point or another, outside of a few of them. Obviously, we have the Oof versus non-Oof difference, which is significant. I went through the Kiki combo package, which works really well with Vivian Birthing Pod, because Baylen is a 3-drop, which is the number you want to hit to start that. Exactly. The thing that I do think you should consider is Springheart actually has specific combos in the deck that I'm not sure if you're aware of. If you bestow, sorry, I was trying to remember the word. If you bestow your Springheart onto your Felidar Guardian and you have a Gaia's Cradle out, you actually go infinite, blinking your Gaia's Cradle and produce infinite tokens of Felidar Guardian. So that's really sweet. Scoot Swarm, though, I don't think is worth it, because because you have to think of it as you have to hit 6 land drops before you get to that point that it's actually producing a lot of tokens. And if you're imagining something that every turn is making you 1 token in a cEDH game with the rates that Baylen gives you, where it's 2 to just make a mana or 3 to draw a single card, I don't think you want these like very little generic value engines of tokens. You want something that's mildly more explosive. I think a really good example of that is, like, have you guys ever played Tameshi?
Played against it.
So in the whole brewing process of Tameshi, if you look at old Tameshi lists, they used to run so many little pieces that just worked as synergy things with Tameshi. You know, little bounce spells to draw a card, little things that you're like, oh, this works, this generates value. And what they came to going full circle over time is it's not worth it. Those cards are suboptimal within the overall strategy. The card quality is lower than it needs to be, and the little bits of value they present you isn't enough to be significant. So when you're hypothesizing how these things play out in like a rapid fire cEDH meta, you know, spending 3 mana on a Scoot Swarm to then make 1 land drop to make 1 insect isn't really a rate that's considerable. And Scoot Swarm seeing more play because of Nadu, but Nadu just continuously puts lands into play and uses it as a combo piece. So within Nadu, it functions as that explosive engine. Within Baylen, it's like very middling value. But Springheart, including other combos, being a little cheaper, makes it cooler.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I got this close. I didn't, not in terms of like me putting it in, because I just didn't realize it. I got 1 step away from copying your lightning bolt lines, because I was like, oh, there's the, and then you said that, I was like, oh, so that's how we went outside of combat.
Oh yeah. Wait, this deck is weirdly very able to win outside of combat.
Are you guys not on Blind Obedience?
No.
Oh,
No.
that's my outside of combat way, because we can Temur Sabertooth our Dockside infinitely, and we make infinite
Oh,
mana,
yeah.
so you just extort,
Yep.
and so you can infinitely do whatever with just blind obedience.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I totally didn't put blind obedience or Temur
this-
in. I only put the
The
Emil.
Emil.
So like Emil goes infinite with Dockside and then allows me to go for the E-Witness.
Tell you what, Chris.
It's probably
this
an oversight on my point.
This guy's pretty smart. He knows what he's talking about, I think.
He's played 1 or 2 Magic games, I think.
Yeah.
You play Magic. You play Magic, Max?
Occasionally, yeah.
Once in a blue moon.
like every once a Saturday. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I saw a couple cards that I was like, okay, I'm glad I wasn't totally crazy. The Rosy Cotton Scurry, I think is just a solid line. I have a similar. I have the same cards plus another one that does the same thing with Rosie.
Basking.
And just yeah. Basking Brood Scale is another way to do it. And then the Vivian on the Hunt lines, I think, are just always solid for Naya. I think you guys would agree that it's just an easy way to get there. And
because you only have to cast 1 spell, and then you just get to do you cast the Vivian. After that, you're done casting for that line, and it's like very nice and clean. As long as they don't have an Oppo agent, you're winning the game right there. So
yeah, and I don't think there's much more I can say without just parroting Max here in terms of like what's going on here. I think he covered a lot of the points that I was going to make. So but in general, I think you did a good job with putting Baylen together. I think there's a lot of good value here. The win lines are solid. Golf clap.
thank you, praise me.
This is the greatest deck I've ever seen.
This is literally
This is going
the best
to-
deck that's ever been made.
Oh
I
my
swear.
god, this is a Michelin
knock-
star cook fest.
Gonna knock Blue Farm out of its top spot.
50% win percentage going into conversion rate. We're taking tournaments left and right with this deck. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. July, I want to see your list. You've
Okay.
got the weird sauce all the time, so let me see what
Well,
you're cooking with.
Yeah, I suppose that might be true. We'll find out. So, I was looking at this list, and I think I did possibly fall into the trap that Max is talking about that incremental value. But I think I took this more as like the potentially mid-range version of Baylen. So, my focus was to get different tokens as much as possible and get a bunch of different kinds of value as much as possible. And so we are also kind of echoing what Chris was talking about with his list. We're also on the Kiki Jiki lines, the Vivian and the Hunt lines. I also mentioned before we're doing Rosy Cotton and Scurry Oak, as well as Basking Brood Scale. Both of those with Rosy Cotton just go infinite with a hand sandwich. Make Baylen phenomenal. Just, again, giving that infinite outlet. The other thing I did put in here, because, again, it is doing token stuff, is the Dualcaster Mage Heat Shimmer combos, because they are making the token copies of the Dualcaster. So that's, even, again, if you're not doing combat, you're getting the value off of it. And then beyond that, the main crux of my deck is more focused on the value. So a couple notable cards, primarily in the creatures themselves, is Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, or Cathar. I don't remember. I haven't been to Innistrad in a minute.
Catheter.
There we go. But Adeline makes 1/1s when you attack with anything. So that's 3 free creatures on combat. Similar with Arasta of the Endless Web. Whenever an opponent casts a green instant or sorcery spell, you make a 1/2 spider. So the idea is that when just as your opponents are playing Magic casually, you're going to get spiders, but especially during those stack wars, whether it be fighting over each other or fighting over your win lines, the more they interact, the more opportunities you're going to get to see cards to generate mana to keep going under or on top of that stack. So I think Arasta is really good include here. Let's see, what else did I? Mirel Shield of Argive is the legendary Grand Abolisher that, again, not even having to go to combat, she does have to go to combat, but she doesn't force those soldiers to be attacking. But what she says is when she attacks, you make X 1/1 soldiers, artifact creature tokens where X is the number of soldiers you control. Let's see, we got Smothering Tides just because turning treasures into mana and card draw has always been super effective. And the last card of notable include that is unique to like this Baylen Naya list, Second Harvest. Second Harvest is a 2 and 2 green instant that says for each token you control, make a copy of it. So if you haven't necessarily gone infinite yet, but you have a large concentration of tokens, you've now doubled the amount of value you're getting for 4 mana.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, that is just basically refunding the mana you just spent on that Second Harvest. Beyond that, I think the rest of the deck is pretty bog standard. We are running a heavy concentration of creatures. We've got Charismatic Conqueror. We've got Destiny Spinner is a really useful card here because with the amount of creatures we have, as well as the enchantments we have, both those things being uncounterable, can be very important. And the other one that I have in here that is just a land 9 times out of 10, but the one time that it matters could be Sokinzon, the red channel land.
Oh, that's hot, yeah.
Because it does just give you 2 spirits for that. At least at the worst case scenario, 4 mana. Baylen being out makes it 3, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, what do you guys think?
It's a very interesting deck. I like it a lot. A lot of token generation. The Arasa of the Endless Web, a little pricey, but you're 100% right. Like, there's going to be incidental value just being gained throughout. If you're looking for the long game and try to dominate that long game, I think Arasta is going to definitely get you a lot more value than you might think, as long as people aren't just like, here's my 4 mana Arasa. Okay, cool. Here's the Thoracle. It's like, oh, dang, this game was supposed to go a little bit longer than that. My bad. Yeah. Other than that, really cool. Like I said, I love Kiki-Jiki lines, so thank you for putting that in.
I got you, homie.
Magda was an interesting one. I didn't really see many. I didn't see any dragons, but the fact that it's just incidental as you go along making some, and you're gonna make infinite treasures anyway.
Yeah. My thought process was this was more intended to be like the mid-range combat-centric deck. I mean, we've got the Adeline, we've got the Muriel, so we're already doing combat stuff anyway. So Magda was just one of those and other ways to generate the mana, get value off of it, etc., etc.
Yeah, Muriel's hot. I'm not gonna lie, Muriel's really hot. I love Grand Abolisher effects. And the fact that if it sticks around just a couple, like, it's that exponential, here's all my soldiers, cool, we're going to tap it, we're going to gain value out of that, thank you, appreciate you. Very, very cool.
Yeah, this is another version of, I went through a lot of these thought processes at one point. I considered Adeline, and then I was like, let's think about this. You swing a 1/1 at someone, they usually block it, it just dies, so I don't get to keep the tokens, and they're tapped. They come in tapped, so it's not like I can just like draw a card off them before they die type thing. I had Magda at one point, and the artifacts that I could realistically grab is like Dampening Sphere and Null Rod and Cloudstone Curio, but it didn't seem quite worth it because I want to leave the treasures on board for Baylen. I don't really want to sacrifice them. Arasta, another consideration that I had in my deck for most of while I was brewing it, and then I was like, I'm paying 4 mana for a piece that doesn't actually stop my opponents from doing anything. It just says I get to make 1 token whenever they do a thing of this regard. Like, cool, they won the game and I made some spiders. Like, I don't know.
What I'm hearing though is that I started on the right track.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I'm not trying to say negative. Like the cards from your deck that I immediately look at and I'm considering, Second Harvest, which it's a little bit win more. Like, it is actively just a little bit win more, because if you already have enough tokens, that Second Harvest is good. You should already be doing really good things. But I kind of have a card that's doing that same thing in Farmer Cotton. When we get to my list, Farmer Cotton is X green white, enters the battlefield, create X white halflings and X food tokens. So it works in that same regard. But Second Harvest is an instant, and Farmer Cotton is not. So that might be an upgrade there. And then I've learned I'm just not running Gamble for some reason.
You're not a gambling man.
I'm like, damn, I should probably be on his tutor. Like,
yeah, Second Harvest is really cool. I like the instant speed viability of it, where it's just like you pass, you do your swings, your whatnot. It's like, oh, cool, I have 4 mana, double everything.
Yeah,
appreciate it. All right, cool. Yeah. Go into your next turn and just be able to use that explosion of doubling everything to just kind of go for it. I think that's really cool. That is a really cool include, right?
And I think it's also helpful because let's say you've already tapped out all the tokens that you had made on that turn. The second harvest doesn't make them enter tap, so you're just re-upping everything.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Well,
But
heck yeah.
well, thank
All
you.
right.
And of course, I
sweet
think that
list.
leaves us with one list. One person. Our final champion of this episode.
Let me introduce y'all to some funny bunny crummy honey. Kiki combos don't have them. Vivian combos not here. Hulk combos not a part of this deck. So
get him out of here.
Get him out of here, bro.
Get him out of here. You didn't read the script.
So here's my thought process here. Because I went through all of these. I had them in the deck at different points, right? And I was looking at what made sense. And to some extent, when you're building a cEDH deck, you should be looking at, is my deck doing the same thing as another deck's doing, but worse? And I think that most things this deck does, it does worse than Rocco objectively. Because Rocco just has the consistency. By the way, Rocco's in my 99.
That's
Let's go.
It finds my oof, it finds my dock side. So, like, I think that's a consideration. But just because something is worse at doing something doesn't mean it's not still the best thing that deck could be doing. And I think that's totally valid. But when I was looking at the packages of cards and how I think this deck needs to operate, when you actually look at the speed this deck goes, I don't know if you guys have goldfished it, it is slow. Like, it is definitely an incremental build-up to then go for that late-game explosion. And in the modern format of cEDH, I don't think that's a realistic strategy unless you are effectively buying yourself time. And so if you look at some of the pieces, comparing my list to Chris's, some of the things I'm on that he is not on, Deafening Silence, Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, Blind Obedience, Draenith Magistrate, Stony Silence, Collector Oof, like Dampening Sphere, pieces that just say, I'm going to make this game take a little bit longer because I don't actually care about these pieces. Does Collector Oof hinder me a little bit? Because I do play Dockside, I do play Smothering Tithe, yes. But when you're playing stacks pieces, it's okay to play stacks pieces that hinder you as long as you're breaking parity on it. It's the same idea as when I play Tritosphere and Kinnan. Yeah, my elf costs 3 mana now, but I make so much more mana than you that I don't care that my spells cost 3 mana because I know in the long game I still beat you in that race. And I think that Baylen operates on a very similar axis where I can say, cool, I'm going to play this oof. My dockside that makes 8 treasures is only making me 4 mana, but that's still better than what you're doing. And I think that that's really the more powerful way to buy yourself time. So running these kind of stack spaces lets me buy myself that time to really lean into the Baylen combos that work really well with the deck. And I did want to lean into a deck that was a little more focused around what Baylen emphasizes rather than just doing a generic Naya thing to some extent. It may still be better to play the Kiki combos, but switching those card slots around for stacks pieces and stuff like Elish or Mother Machines felt really good for leaning into what Baylen wants to do. I just think you got to buy yourself time. And in my gold fishing with the deck, I was like actively tutoring for an oof or playing an oof on turn 2 or some type of oof effect almost every game. And I couldn't imagine those games going long enough for me to win them if that piece wasn't there.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
It was I was struggling with that because like I was like, am I a stacks deck or am I a kind of go fast deck, you know? And Naya does have that kind of issue where it can be fast. You have the right 7, you can explode at the game.
Yeah.
But without that consistency of like the tutor in your command zone, like you're saying, you do need something that's going to slow the game down and kind of take you into that late game effect where you're just controlling the game. You're just in the driver's seat for the majority of it. So I agree there.
I also got to say, while I know you were talking about like less of the incremental value and more of the explosive stuff. What I'm seeing here, I love because it was turning your tokens into multi-use outside of Baylen. Like I didn't even think about. I saw Jaheira in here, Friend of the Forest. So if Baylen's not here, just all of your tokens are rocks is really clever. And then the Torrens, Fist of the Angels.
I'm looking at that.
Yeah. So, I guess if you think about think of Torrens in comparison to like stuff like Charismatic Conqueror, where when you're playing a Charismatic Conqueror, it seems great. You're like, oh, I have the capability of making a bunch of tokens. But if you think about it, if your opponents are letting those things come into play untapped, where they're like, this is worth giving you a token, they're almost always going to be doing something more busted than you with that mana, because there's a reason that right? So if they're like, I'm going to play this dockside, I'm just going to win the game, you can have your 8 Charismatic Conqueror tokens, right? So that's giving it in your opponent's control, whether you're doing something. So what I like about Torrens is I'm able to continuously get value off everything I do. You know, I'm in control of the value that I'm presenting and creating, and it's not reliant on my opponents doing things. The same idea, like Charismatic Conqueror, Arasta, these are cards that you're spending mana on and then just sitting back and hoping that they do something for you. I would much rather have control over my own development so I can properly progress my game plan and say, like, cool, I'm going to sequence this. So I'm playing my Torrens, then I'm playing my things, you know? I'm playing my Samwise, I'm playing my Torrens, I'm getting my food, I'm getting my tokens, and then, like, everything I do. Because I've gotten to positions when I was goldfishing this where, like, a Birds of Paradise is mana positive to cast. You know, because like you're making more things off your stuff on the board.
Academy Manufacturer is hot in this deck.
You're really good at this deck, dude.
It's like, here's my dock side.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Clues and food, and tap that and draw some cards and kind of go.
No, it's wild because when you're playing a list that also plays Stony Silence, Null Rod, Collector Roof, you actually can hypothesize your dark side count's getting higher on like turn 5 because a lot of people just play things out hoping that when it's gone they can use the mana. And so a lot of times you end up with these really high dockside counts that aren't winning the game for people because they can't use them. But the fact that Baylen turns your dockside into mana and card draw, even while there's an oof effect out, is broken. And when paired synergistically with the fact that the dockside count will be higher on a turn 5 dockside with an oof out, it's nice.
I love the inclusion of the Seaboard Muse. I had put it in my list. I think that's just such good value in this list because you're all those tokens every turn, drawing cards, making mana.
Yeah, Seaborn is a fantastic engine. So I guess some of the better engines in the deck, to just speak about them really quickly, you brought up Professional Facebreaker. What I really love about Prof here is you're able to tap the treasure tokens for mana or card draw and then still exile them to Facebreaker to go deeper, even after they're used on your explosive turns. That's really, really powerful. I have both Rosy Cotton combos. Samwise Gamgee is awesome, and if you pair Samwise Gamgee with Peregrine Took, it's every single creature you play is 2 foods, which is just like lets you start chaining a little bit, which is really, really effective. Elish Norn Mother Machines is probably the card that emphasizes like the goals of this deck the best, where it's such a hindering ability for your opponents, but it also just doubles everything you do, right? So if you have a Samwise out and you play an Elish Norn, you're getting 2 foods. You know, while your dockside count needs to be 10 to go where Temur Sabertooth lines, while there is an oof effect out to just tap it for 5 mana, you're able to do that with a dockside count of 5 if you have Elish Norn. So like it works as this piece that's individually doing like everything you want to do on both sides, where it's progressing you incredibly proactively and hindering your opponents, and that's like chef's kiss.
I see a world in which you can talk your opponents into fighting over your fighting to protect your Elish Norn. It's like, yeah, of course, Blue Farm's trying to remove it. They're gonna go for a win.
They're gonna try and play their dockside. What are you gonna do? Okay.
They're gonna go for a Thoracle. These are all ETB triggers. I'm stopping. You're welcome. Help me.
The life of a Stacks player who can't protect their things. They're like, please, guys, please.
They're gonna win the game.
It's that single tear behind the smile. Yeah, I remember. I remember Elish Norn almost like the rules committee was talking about banning it, and I was like, I'm so glad they didn't, because this card is so good, and I don't want it to go away. Please, just let me keep it. And yeah, the Farmer Cotton is really cool. I forgot that it makes halflings and foods equal to X. That's so
low-key gas for Gaia's Cradle. Like, yeah, and then like I said earlier, my other win condition really is the Blind Obedience, because I'm not just on Temur Sabertooth, I'm also on Cloudstone Curio. So like having the ability, because even if what's really nice about Cloudstone Curio and Temur Sabertooth is, regardless of whatever way you have made infinite tokens, it doesn't matter if it's dockside, right? Like if I Rosy Cotton with Scurry Oak or Basking, or whatever way I do it, at that point I've produced infinite mana, infinite cards, and then I'm able to just like play out a Cloudstone Curio and I can bounce any 2 creatures with my Blind Obedience and it works. It doesn't have to specifically be dockside. So this isn't a deck that's like, I play Cloudstone Curio, but if my dockside is exiled, it's a dead card. Like Cloudstone still works, which I like.
Heck yeah. I think you brought a really good list. I love seeing the Emergent Zone. People will know I'm a slut for Emergent Zone.
Yeah.
Crop Rot, Emergent Zone, Talon Gates, Gaia's Cradle. Yeah. Yes.
Anytime I'm in a green deck and I'm running Crop Rot, I'm usually running E-Zone. If the deck can win at instant speed, like as long as it can, which this one can. So yeah. Which I didn't even realize I also just have Ewit Lightning Bolt like you do.
Turns out that those cards kind of just...
I was just like, these are good cards.
Yeah, exactly. I love the shifting woodland too. I think that card is phenomenal, and I'm so glad that it's seeing as much play as I think it should.
on all the creature tutors, on like a pretty lean, efficient, just like interaction package. Dampening Sphere is so good here. When we've gone infinite, we're normally going infinite in a way that doesn't cast spells, depending on which one we go for. Like the Rosy Cotton ones will just make infinite, and I don't have to cast a spell. If you're doing a Dockside line with Teamer or Cloudstone, then obviously Dampening Sphere doesn't work. Something to be aware of. Enchantments, yeah, we just got stacks, pieces, mana, and tutors. And land base, the same. Yeah, okay, cool. Deck, here it is.
Alrighty then.
You got any closing comments on this list, Chris?
No closing comments on it. Minus, I'm curious to see what we can kind of cook up and do some cuts here. So, all right, welcome back, guys. We've done a little bit of talking. We've cleaned up our black eyes. I'll be honest, me and July, we had very large black eyes. Max hits like a truck. So, with that on the account, he works out. We do not. We play Magic. Who could have seen it coming?
I do both.
Oh, he's a double threat over here.
I sit at a computer all day. You climb rocks all day. We are not the same. We're going to go ahead and go with Max's list. We really do enjoy the Stony Silence effects, Collect Reef effects. Made a few cuts, and we're gonna let the guests just take away. Go for it.
Yeah, so we did some gold fishing. I was able to show them the power of the oof and the deafening silence and stuff.
He got us.
We're still scared.
We did make a few cuts though. One of the things we were considering was swapping Farmer Cotton for Second Harvest, and we kind of talked about hypothetically how that plays out and is it win more. And we kind of decided if you're already in position of having a lot of tokens, well, it's very cute to do this thing and it's really cool with Baylen, it might not be the most optimal thing for a cEDH deck, and we are focusing on optimization here, not just purely doing cool Baylen things. So we decided to cut that all together. We also decided to cut the Felidar Guardian, which was really in there just as like another dockside blinker and a way to get more foods and tokens and things, which is cool. And had this cute infinite combo with Springheart and Intugo, but it's a lot of mana to set up and a lot of specific pieces to have. So we also cut the Springheart and Intugo to go with the Felidar Guardian. We also just swapped Simian Spirit Guide for Elvish Spirit Guide because I guess I just forgot Elvish Spirit Guide existed when I made this. In its place, we added Gamble, which is just the best tutor in these colors that can get anything, and I can't believe I wasn't running it. We added Archivist of Ogma as another generic card advantage piece, which is just, it's cEDH. We want cards. Cards equals win. It's the best resource access. And then we also added a Braid. We talked through what the weaknesses of this deck are, and it seemed like the card that's going to hurt us the most was going to be Curse Totem. So having more than just one answer, because realistically, I guess we had two. We sort of had Beseju and we had Dauntless Dismantler. We talked about Manglehorn as well, but our deck already is very sorcery speed, adding a little bit more instant speed something, so drawing your cards with Baylen instant speed has a little more relevance, seemed cool, and you know, we already have a creature to tutor for that effect in Dauntless Dismantler for slowing down our opponents for their artifacts, and we already play Blind Obedience in this list, so adding Manglehorn didn't seem like the most necessary thing, so a Braid being instant speed before your turn, try and get rid of a Curse Totem to be able to go off and win the game made a little more sense, as well as having additional value of like getting some of your own pieces off the board if necessary sometimes.
Yeah.
Very well put.
I was gonna say, I think that was. I think that was everything. Yeah.
I think Archivist of Ogma is going to put in a lot of work. I know a lot of people are down on it. Jordan being one of them. He said he consistently takes it out, puts it back in, takes it out, puts it back in. Every time I have seen TK play with that, it draws him, I shit you not, 9 to 10 cards. And I'm like, what the heck, dude? Why are people tutoring for you? But when I play it, I get like 2 or 3 cards. So I see it putting a lot of work into this deck, especially in Naya colors when we don't have the best draw outlet. I think it's one of the better includes for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm glad that we enlightened you to the power of Gamble. I know you were very off on it before, and you were very down on that card, but I'm glad we got you to you gave us Collector Oof, we gave you Gamble.
I don't love blackjack or anything.
But I mean, yeah, I think what we've done here is we've really like tightened up that the more important parts that these colors do sometimes struggle with, and especially like the Abrade is very, I think, important to just making sure that I think I said before, we don't want to always telegraph when we're trying to go for it, and so the end step Abrade seemed, because we were talking about it compared to Manglehorn. That's the card. And so I think it was probably the right call there. Yeah, and then I think we made a pretty clean, tight list, or at least we tidied up a few frays, because it was already a very solid, very clean list, especially after seeing those gold fishing. My God.
It's better. It doesn't like it. It seems like it would be stupid to use your mana crypt for an Elrod, but that shit is gas. You're like, this is the reason I play the mana crypt.
I'm gonna bolt myself every day, and it doesn't matter.
Mana crypt into Null Rod, Savannah into Deafening Silence, turn 1. I hate it.
Hope you guys are ready for a long game.
You guys ready for some funny bunny crummy honey?
Well, I want to see Funny Bunny Crummy Honey take away the Idiot Gauntlet in a 2-0 victory. I don't know about you guys, but I think that would be
I do not
absolutely
suspect
awesome.
that it will be difficult for this to do so.
Well, we appreciate you guys. We've had a lot of fun building this list today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this as well. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. My name's Chris. That's July. And, of course, our wonderful guest, Max. Max, tell the people where to find you. I know you said it before.
Yeah, you
Say
can find me on Discord as Wounded Satellite or in the Colors of Crutch Discord. YouTube, have a podcast in hiatus right now, Colors of Crutch. And, you can find me on Twitter also as Wounded Satellite. I do offer cEDH coaching if that's something that interests you. You know, I've to coach some of these fine folks. You can cut that out if you don't want me to say that. But yeah, just find me, hit me up.
Awesome.
Right. Well, everyone say bye, people. Love you, people.
Bye, people.
The crummy honey
real
herself.
This was actually who we wanted on as a guest, but Max said that if Suki was going to be on.
Yeah, real star of the show is Suki. Thank you, Suki, for making us a wonderful list and letting Max talk about it.
Dude, I'm telling you, she noses clean.
I remember we were at the tournament. Just put her in a chair, put wrong side in front of her.
Just let her go.
She got that dog in her, bro.